2 weeks, we'll be meeting our audience live on Facebook and on Zoom, and we'll be presenting different departments of AOIS. Let me share my screen and open the presentation. So welcome to our Thursday's webinar. My name is Aiste, and I'm the admissions director at AUIS. So as you are well aware, now every day at 4:30, every working day at 4:30, we will be hosting these webinars where we talk about different AUIS academic departments, so featuring different bachelor degree programs to help our audience to learn more about AUS and hopefully to help you also decide what kind of program you might be interested in the future if you're looking at universities to go to. So yesterday we did the general session about AUIS. You can find the recording on the AUIS Facebook page. And today is all our eyes and ears are on our APP program. So let me introduce briefly the program director, who will then introduce her team who are joining with her today, our session online. So Ms. Zimkita, I will give the floor to you so that as the APP director, you can lead us into this webinar, into the discussion, and into learning more about APP.
Thank you, Ms. Aiste. I just want to say welcome to everyone who's joining us on this live session today. I am Zimkita Mpateni, the APP director. Of course, the first question you think of is, what is APP? What is its purpose at AUIS? And why is it important? And most importantly, why is it so different from all the other English preparatory program? So APP stands for the Academic Preparatory Program at AUIS. It consists of international faculty from various places that specialize in teaching English. But it's not simply an ESL program. It focuses on academic English, so that's very different. That type of English is much more rigorous. It's preparing students for the undergraduate program and to build skills in them so that they can succeed once they finish our program. Of course, the APP program has high quality and standards, and it's accredited by the CEA, American accreditation body. And the CEA body has accredited a couple of other institutions in America as well as in the Middle East. APP program is very proud to have had that accreditation first in Iraq, and I believe we're the only ones so far holding it. The foundations of APP is built on the ability to understand where our students come in and to prepare them better for the undergraduate program. So our students come from high school mostly, they test into our program at various levels, and then we assign teachers that have qualities as well as qualifications to help work with students in the English learning skills, language skills, speaking, reading and writing, and to cope in the new academic setting. The APP program, of course, has 4 levels. Students can test into foundations, level 1, level 2, level 3, and then they exit it. And then they go into our concurrent enrollment, which has reading 100, writing 100, and that helps them to prepare better once they get into the academic program. So APP runs for the entire year. We start off in the fall, and our terms are 10 weeks long, and it's very intensive, 5 days a week, 5 hours per day. And that's the success of the program. It's the high level of input of English as well as skills. Our program is unique because it's so diverse, and it really brings out the best in students to realize their potential at our university and to succeed. Apart from just being very successful at the university level, the APP program can serve as a lifelong learning program. Students are able to demonstrate their ability outside of university once they graduate. They realize how strong their interpretation skills are, the critical thinking skills, which is so essential to be successful in leadership as well as in the workforce. and also their general English skills. They're able to successfully continue their education beyond AUIS at other institutions. So we know that this program is very strong, it's rigorous, but the outcomes are amazing. And we are very proud of every student that is in our program. So to give you a better idea of what's going on in the classroom, because it is different, and once you understand it, you are able to see where APP and why it is such an important and successful program. And I would like to invite my faculty, Ms. Katie, who is our level 3 faculty currently teaching reading. And then we also have Mr. Matthew Peshek, who's currently our level 2 faculty, who's teaching reading and writing. So I would like to give the floor to them to give you the first-hand experience of what classrooms are like in the APP program.
All right, well, hello, everyone. Welcome, and we're very happy to have you joining with us today. So as Ms. Simkeitha said, my name is Matthew Peshek, and I currently am teaching the level 2 level. So I teach both reading and writing together. And basically in APP, what we do is we really try to focus on improving all the major skills like reading, writing, listening, and speaking in order to help prepare you for the undergraduate program. Now, in my class, in particular this term, I've had a lot of focus on projects, and some of my students, who will actually talk to you a little bit about it, they've done different projects that really get them to work with each other in a different way that's actually be very helpful for them when they go into UG, because they're going to be working together in groups. They're working with different people, getting different perspectives and views of things. And when they have a chance to work with groups to use their creativity, it helps foster not only cooperation, but also discussion and also critical thinking. And that's one of our key skills that we always want to focus on in not only reading, but also writing. So a lot of our types of activities in class that we do are always based on moving beyond just memorization of grammar points, but actually focusing more on like, how does it relate to like real life? Like, what are you actually going to use it for in like your undergraduate career? So like, for instance, we will often teach you like how to write a paragraph, like with a beginning, middle, and end with all the proper language and the proper structures. And it always builds on everything. So you'll find that if you test into level 1, you'll start with like a foundational aspect. And in level 2, we build upon that. Level 3, it builds upon that. And then in concurrent, it builds upon that. So by the time you go into like writing 101, you'll have all the tools necessary to be able to be successful in your undergraduate program. But as Ms. Simkeitha said, it is intense. But I've been teacher for 11 years in APP, and I've seen tens of hundreds of students over the years, go successfully through APP, graduate from university, and actually have really, really good jobs after graduation. And some of whom I still keep in contact with. And I mean, they work in all kinds of different sectors. Some have started their own businesses. Some are working in like diplomacy. Some are in AI or STEM. So it's really fascinating. And they always say, one thing they've always told me is, the skills they learned in APP were absolutely crucial to their success in undergraduate program.
Hi, I am Katie, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the program. So I've been here for 3 years, or 2.5 years. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about what our class looks like and what's important to us. Our program's made for you. It's made for students who've studied high school in Kurdistan and Iraq. So we understand like what your schools, you all come from different schools, but we understand how hard you've worked to get here. And we know a lot of you have worked really hard for the grade 12 baccalaureate exam. So we know you have a lot of skills and knowledge already, but we just want to prepare you. Our goal is to prepare you for the next step in AUIS. And so that you have the skills that you'll need to be successful students at AUIS, because it can be a different system of learning from some of the schools that you've been to, and we want you to be super prepared. So 3 things I'm going to talk about is what we do to prepare our students. And the first thing we do when we're teaching is we use what we call a communicative approach. So this just means that we have a strong focus on making sure you can communicate well in English, how you speak and understand, read and write. We want this to be a strong level for when you start undergraduate studies in AUIS. So in our lower levels, we focus a lot more on the language and how you can use English, because some students haven't really used it much. They've studied it a lot in school, but they may not have spoken it much or written it much. And we want you to get like really confident in using English. And then in our higher levels, we look more at the academic skills as you're getting closer to start in your undergraduate studies. We want you to have the skills you need to be successful in your studying. And as like Ms. Sim and Mr. Matt mentioned, the critical thinking, which is super important for AUIS students. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is how we have like we call it a student-centered learning experience. So this means that we believe students are different and they learn in different ways. And we focus on making sure that you have an education in learning English that helps you to learn English the best way that you can. So we have a lot of opportunities for you to participate in class. We want you to feel responsible for your learning and start like enjoying and being motivated to learn by yourself. We spend 20 hours a week with you guys. So or 25 weeks with you all. So it's a long time and we get to know you very well. And we think the relationship is another thing that's important, not just the studying, because these students and your teachers are the people you're going to be spending a lot of your college experience with. So it really helps to get to know your classmates and feel comfortable talking to your teachers as well. And lastly, I think you've heard Ms. Sim and Mr. Matt talk about critical thinking skills. And this is an important part of, it's one of the goals of AUIS for when their students finish the university. And it sounds like it can be a tricky idea and concept, but it's a way of thinking about information. It's a way of thinking that is not just memorizing information. And it's about like asking questions about the information that you learn. So how we do this in our classes, if we're talking about something like climate change, we'll think about what are the causes and results of climate change. What are different people's opinions about climate change, which will listen to different people who are experts or read different articles about what people think about this topic. And this helps you to hear different perspectives, but it also lets you to like make your own opinion. So you start thinking for yourself what you think about information. And it's, as they said, it's an important skill for students, but it's also really important for when you go to your future jobs. So those were my 3 things. And I have only been here for 2.5 years, so I don't have as many students working yet, but they are in the university. And when they come back, if I see them on campus, they're always like super excited to show me their work that they're learning and their essays that they're writing, which they first learned to do in the APP classes. And they often talk about how important, like how much easier it is to be a student at AUIS after they've done this program, because they're familiar with the university. They have friends with people that it can be because you spend so much time together when you're on the APP classes. And it's a very bonding experience for the 10 weeks we spend together. So if you are thinking about joining us, we're very excited to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Katie and Mr. Matt. And I think one of the things that really stood out for me is the fact that APP really is a huge transformation in learning and just being prepared for life. And I think also the experiences, the cultural change, the shifts that students go through is really irreplaceable, invaluable experience that you won't find it anywhere else. But I'm not the best of judge of that, and I think the proof is in the pudding. So we would like to welcome our students who are currently in APP. We have Razan as well as Riyam. They are currently in level 2. They've joined the APP program, and I would love to hear what their experiences have been so far.
Hi, my name is Riyam. I joined APP in February 19th, and I'm currently in level 2 with Mr. Matt. First, I want to thank Mr. Matt and Ms. Zim for trusting me and choosing me to be a part in this webinar. As said, as in level 2, my teacher is Mr. Matt. And I also want to thank Mr. Matt because he really put a lot of effort to teaching us, and he's a really wonderful teacher. Yeah, he is so nice and so helpful with us. My experience in APP. APP is really make me focusing on writing because it's making me decide what I'm weak and what I'm strong in. So I feel I'm strong in grammar, but I'm weak in writing. So in my spare time and in the time that I have, I'm writing a lot. So this is, and also there is a lot of diversity here in APP with different people from different backgrounds. So it's really a good thing to know their perspective and their own view from different subjects. And also I recommended everyone to be an APP. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Razan Badin. I'm currently student at level 2 with Mr. Mad, which I want to thank him, really. I want to talk about the APP in specific, or AUIS in general. Which I want to mention is 2 points. At the APP, we have really a full of learning atmosphere at the class, which is really lead student to learn well, also enjoy the learning. Which our class really make us doing all the stuffs with the teacher, which is really supportive to us, and also approachable every time when we want to learn more or also get office hours, these things. Really, he was approachable. Also, I think another doctors and professors at the AUIS also like it. The second point, which I want to talk about, the materials in the APP is really well structured, which is really let students know about all of the next UG materials academically. As I experienced it before, I don't expect that writing should be so academically, but now after 9 weeks in the APP, I really learned well how to write in paragraph, also writing academically, really, which we need in the future for our majors. Also, what I want to mention about AUIS in general, when you are outside the AUIS, you hear about a lot of stuff, fortunately good stuff, which about the high quality, also a really good atmosphere of learning. Also the different national of the teachers, which lead you engaging a lot of cultures, which you didn't experience it at the high school with your friends, your teacher. It really makes you be prepared for the future after the graduation, and also let you get job in a high companies, or maybe also in other cities which you want to working. Yeah, like this. Really, I experienced a lot of beautiful stuffs in APP, which our teacher puts his efforts really, really more than that program needs.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and Razan. Both of them are currently our level 2 students, and they are actually the first semester with us in the program, which is wonderful to hear the positive experience. One more member I'd like to invite is our alumni. We have Ala Essa. In fact, I used to be his teacher a couple of years ago. And Ala, first of all, congratulations, you're an alumni, but we'd also like to hear about your journey being in APP and how much that has impacted your life and what you would like others to know about our program.
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Ms. Sim, for the invitation. I'm really glad to be participating with you today. I am Ala Isa, and I'm currently an English teacher at Sinjar Academy. I have recently graduated from AUIS, majoring in energy engineering. I would like to share a little bit of my journey at AUIS and specifically in APP program. I joined APP program in spring 2018, and back then, honestly, I could speak no word in English, and I started from foundation, and I struggled in the first 2 weeks because it was totally a different environment for me, and everybody was speaking English, and it was sounds like a Chinese for me because my skills were very terrible in English. I can also mention one of the occasions that happened to me, like in reading class, my teacher, Miss Glennis, like she asked me to stand up and move to the back seats, but I could understand nothing. I stood up and I was looking around and asking my friends, could somebody please tell me what is she saying? And unfortunately, nobody could tell me exactly what she was saying, but so I sat down in my place. That happened in the first week, but within the first 3 months, I could really notice a huge progress in my English, that I could communicate with my teachers, with my friends, classmates in the class, because English was taught intensively during these courses. Like I can say, like every day we were active in the class for more than or for around 5 hours, communicating in English, listening to the English, writing in English. So this intensive process of learning helped me to quickly, like within the first 2 months, to learn the basics, how to communicate with people around me. And then by the time I reached to level 3, I couldn't believe myself that now I can write essays in English, essays of 500 to 600 words. And then these skills, they also helped me to, or help to make my life easier when I moved to UG. So it was a very smooth transition from APP to UG, because I learned I learned a lot of skills. Like one of them, I can say, like writing notes in a very quick way while the professor is speaking or explaining. So we learn how to abbreviate words, how to use signs for some certain words, like the word increase, I will just use an arrow representing it, because I may not have a time to write every single word while the professor is explaining an important subject. And it also helped me like to communicate very well with my professors inside the class. I didn't face any problem when it comes to that, asking questions if something is not clear, asking them to repeat it or have a discussion about some certain topics. Beside that, specifically in argument classes like English 101, argument and critical thinking class, English 102, it was all about discussion, and I was effectively communicating with everybody around me, including my professor. So it impacted my life a lot that when I joined AUIS, I could speak zero word in English, but it's been almost 2 years and I've been teaching English. I'm currently an English teacher at Sinjar Academy, and I have also worked as a translator and interpreter with a researcher who came from the UK, who was working for a British library for some certain research around this area. And I'm also currently working with a writer who is writing a book, and I help her with translation and interpretation. So I would say like APP was really a unique experience, and it has significantly improved my career and my way of life. And what was unique about it is the curriculum. Like the curriculum is divided into two parts. Like one of the parts is reading and the other part is writing. I can see like in many courses around Iraq that are taught, the English courses that are taught, they lack something. Like most of them, they only focus on speaking and reading. But in order to be good at English, you have to be a good reader, a good speaker, a good listener, a good writer. And all these skills are taught in APP. Like in writing class, we were taught grammar and writing from simple sentences up to the level of writing paragraphs and then essays. And for the reading class, we were taught like how the strategies of reading, how to analyze a reading, how to break down into pieces and look specifically at each of the pieces, how to answer the questions about the reading. And we were also taught the vocabulary and speaking and listening beside that. And one of the skills that I really liked and improved my speaking a lot back then was recording myself as a project. Like we were doing weekly recording ourselves talking about some certain topics, and then the instructor or the teacher would evaluate our speaking based on that. Yeah, so this was part of my journey at APP. Of course, I cannot share all the details and how significantly it helped me, but I just wanted to share a bit of my experience with you.
Thank you so much, Ala, and it's so enlightening and super wonderful when we see a student, and you're right, coming in, and can be incredibly intimidating if you are straight out of high school, you're coming into a new environment. I can imagine you can be scared at times, but I think it's also AUIS, the program as well, is a very welcoming environment. We will never let a student be left behind. There are so many support systems within our program and in our university to ensure that all of our students progress and ultimately enter the UG program. The APP also has a lot of policies that advocate for students. So apart from the classes, we also give students the ability to integrate with the rest of the university through different activities. Even in our program, there's a lot of activities like creative writing, speaking, project building, to help students realize their own skills. So I would say if you're really up for the challenge and you want to improve your English and refine it, I would definitely encourage you to join our program. Ms. Esther.
Thank you, Ms. Zim. And truly, Allah, your story is unbelievable. There's actually one comment in our chat saying, really, Allah makes me believe his huge progress is well done. To start from zero English to go through the process and now to be an English teacher and doing this important work in Sinjar Academy. I'm truly impressed. I didn't know your story. So I'm glad to hear that the audience is also picking up on this, because this truly shows the success and the results of the APP program. However, Ms. Dim, I have a question for you, because when we work in admissions with prospective students, there are lots of questions about APP. Some students see it's like, oh, I need to waste additional time in learning English. Others are wondering whether being part of APP will mean that they are truly true AUS students. So if you could talk about the student status when they come and they are students at APP, and then what would be your response? And maybe the students will want to jump in on this in terms of how would you respond to this concept of I have to waste additional time before I can actually start my BA degree studies?
Thank you, Ms. Isa. That's a great question. And that's a question that comes up a lot. When we enter AUIS, of course, our university is a liberal arts institution. So it focuses a lot on students understanding the world around them. And that requires a lot of academic critical research skills. And to ensure that our students are actually successful in the undergraduate program, they are more than welcome to take our placement test, which we have available, which places them into different levels according to where they start off. And the teacher spends time with them to prepare. APP is not a barrier. Students should see it as a mechanism of how to better themselves. In fact, if you would, just to give an example, we do have students testing in higher. They go straight into UG. They come from high school, they're testing directly into UG. And then you also have students that have been going through our program entering UG. And the ones that test in, they notice something incredible. One, they say, yeah, I can speak English and I can understand my faculty, but I don't know what they want. Whereas in the APP, students are like, we know exactly what that professor wants, what he needs, what is required to succeed in this class. So it's apart from English, you're learning how to deal with an academic environment. And AUIS has high quality and high standards that we adhere to that are aligned with Western standards of education for our accreditation purposes as well. So that ensures that students are ready. So APP is worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It's not time wasted at all. And our teachers are always with students. We have, to be honest with you, an 85 to 90% pass rate. So most of our students are incredibly successful when they partake in this program. So one should not see it as a barrier, but see it as like, oh my gosh, before I actually go into UG, let me try and get used to this change, this academic cultural change. And APP is the perfect place to start.
Thank you. Kind of a follow-up question to this. The question is from our audience, is this program also allowed for university students? So the question is is it only for students who want to study at AUIS as full-time students, or could another university student come to the APP because they want to be improving the academic English and they want to be committing to that academic experience?
That's a very good question. In all honesty, I would say 90 to 95% of our students always come from high school. So they are immediate graduates from high school, and they are now looking for a university to go to. So our population, our student population is mostly high school students. However, we've had 1 or 2 cases of students that have completed a degree at a different university. They want to come back. They want to brush up on the English. They feel like, no, if I want to continue with a master's or PhD, I really need to go check in my English level. And they come into APP with that understanding. And so we do accept those students. And they do incredibly well because they're so used to the academic, the environment. So, and they know their purpose, which makes it a lot more fruitful for them. So we've had a couple of students coming in over the last year saying, I already have my degree, but can I join your program just to be better in my English? And we say, absolutely, we're here to support that particular vision. And that's part of our mission at our program.
Thank you. I do want to just pass on the comment from the audience. One of our attendees is an English teacher, and he just wanted to share the advice of helping students encouraging students to embrace the transition to college with enthusiasm and an open mind, and just encouraging them to learn that learning never stops. So seize every opportunities. Thank you for those encouraging words. And I do want to give the floor back to our students, because they are, especially that this is your first semester. So just kind of, touching onto your experience. So when you took the AUS English placement test and you knew that you will have the APP, and now you are in the APP program. So what would you say are, if you were to highlight the best thing about your experience and how that will open the door for your success in your university studies? What are you mostly grateful for and mostly excited about? Razan and Riyam, comments from your side.
I think before starting the APP, I didn't accept Raylat to reading and writing and speaking as I do now, because as we talk about it before, when you learning about more vocabulary and also knowing how to write in academically and reading in English, it will give you a chance to knowing what's coming next in a UG. Also, it lets you be prepared for your majors, really, because I heard from some UG students which didn't do their best, maybe in APP. They say that the APP is a chance to really make you be prepared. Also, have a lot of information in your major, because UG, it's not just speaking in English or understanding in English. It also really wants your effort to be an academic student, because I think APP from the beginning till this 9 week really gives this chance to us.
I'm grateful that you're taking in this opportunity and see this as a chance of improving. Riyam, anything that you would like to highlight as the best thing that you are mostly excited about in your experience?
Yeah, of course. Two things that APP like make me more improve and develop. It's as I said before, I'm a little bit weak in writing, so Mr. Matt like help us a lot by writing a lot of journal every day, and like writing paragraph and graded work. So like I know what I'm exactly weak at, and like I'm focusing on it. And also speaking, like I know how to speak, but like I don't have the courage to speak. So also Mr. Matt, he like sometimes he make us in a group and like ask us some questions, and we should like as a group answer it and like know each other perspective and opinion. So it's make me more courageous like to speak and like to improve my speaking.
Thank you. Well, I do want to put Mr. Matt back on the spotlight, since the students are, highlighting all your work. And you said you've been teaching in APP for 11 years, right?
Yes, that's right.
So that's like an amazing term. So you should have seen so many students who come with minimal English skills and they grow out of the program, and go on and become the success stories like what we heard Allah share. So in your, in all of your experience, what would still you would say are the most rewarding things that you notice in the students, and why you believe APP program is the best academic preparation program for any students needing English prep and seeking university studies in English?
Well, I mean, I would say that in my view, as I said, I've seen tens of hundreds of students come through, and I've taught many of them, and many of them have gone on and done great things. Some of them are in grad school now. Some of them, I think, are working on their PhDs now. And one thing I've always noticed is that the students are always very, very highly motivated, because even in the past when I've had students who maybe came in like with very weak kind of English skills, even though they didn't always do so well, they never gave up. And I noticed that, because I actually know of a student that I remember quite fondly. This student had a lot of difficulty in my class initially, and but this student never gave up and would always come to office hours. And the student has actually now graduated from AYS, and I think has her own business. And initially the student used to be kind of very shy with speaking, but now when I would talk to the student, very conversational. And there was actually a time when I did ask her to give kind of a guest lecture in one of my classes. And, she was an undergraduate student at the time, and she had no problem speaking. She was speaking totally fine. The students were able to understand her. I mean, she was engaging the other students. And so, I mean, that's always been one amazing aspect with these students. It's like they come in often very shy in some ways, but then when you talk to them when they're like seniors and they're about to graduate, I mean, it's really amazing to see just the big progress that they make from the time I had them, because in many cases I was the first teacher that they actually had at AUIS. And then when I see them at like commencement, they're talking to me saying like, oh, I still remember your class. I still have your notes from I still have the notes I took from your class like 6-7 years ago or something like that. And they say like, I never forgot that. And it's always been amazing to me. And that's the main reasons why I love just being here, because I see these students and I see the progress they make. And I know for a fact that the program's good, because the students, they tell me like what they do. Like they've started NGOs, they work in NGOs, they again work in diplomacy, they start their own businesses, they go to grad school overseas in the West in different countries. And I mean, they really it's really amazing in my view. I mean, it's
Thank
just the
you.
most amazing thing
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I think today hearing Ala's story, even the example that you gave that, you couldn't understand what the teacher was asking you to move the seat, and to the fact that when you went through your education process, you are now teaching English. So you know how your students feel when you talk to them in English, and you are there to equip and empower them. Like that's a powerful story. And that's, of course, the success of the APP program. So it's kudos to all of you, to Ms. Zim, Matt, and Katie, and all of our faculty in the APP program. That is an amazing work. I do have a question on Facebook, which from our Facebook audience. So I think, Ms. Zim, I'll address it to you. So the question reads, as English language is key to access resources, and all the resources are in English program. The question is like, are English program students also introduced to academic resources to utilize in their degree program? So I think the question is about what students are being introduced to in terms of resources for studies and the tools, I think.
Thank you, Ms. Aista. Yeah, that's a great question. Our students are introduced to quite a lot of resources, but also we are aware of, how well our students can navigate, with new type of resources. I would like to reiterate that when students do go up in the levels, they start understanding how to use resources effectively, which I think is really important, rather than just only accessing them. We actually teach them how to do things like citation, and they build up on it because it's such a necessary skill. Once they go into the English undergraduate program and they are fit now to understand English in different contexts, they start also getting introduced to poetry and deeper literature. They start to do better composition and also do a research paper. So APP builds up on that. So we do introduce to the students to a variety of resources on how to support the English skills. And with that, they get training on how to handle those resources, whether they are online or available in the classroom or in the library. So yes, we do introduce that to them, and they're always allocated first language specific. And as they gradually improve, they introduce to more complex resources and things that they can use later on.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the question. A few other questions that are in our chat, in our question and answer box. There are questions about the required GPA for the dental college and what are the privileges our students receive. So one thing, and also scholarships for the dental school. So excellent question, but this is where I will encourage you to join us live on Sunday, because on Sunday at 4:30, the entire webinar will be dedicated to our College of Dentistry. So we'll have the program directors, the director, faculty, students. So that will be the appropriate time to answer those questions, because today we are shedding the light on our APP program, the academic preparation program that equips students for studies mostly at AUS for studies in English, but also for students who just want to increase their academic English skills. Another question is that our audience member is now teaching 12th grade students and asking whether there will be a chance to study for masters. At this point, AUS offers a master's in business administration, an executive MBA degree. So that's, again, another session, another topic. But at this point, that's the only master's program that we have. Our Facebook guest also has a question about how AUIS responds to the business demands and public sector, and whether our students are equipped with the knowledge and skills to go into the career life with confidence that they can make a change. Of course, this question will also be very relevant for every department that will be featured. But maybe Ms. Dim still wants to make a comment, because you've seen your graduates go through APP and into different academic majors. So I'm sure you have things to add here.
Yeah, that is a very good question. So are our students successful, right? People want to know, is it worth it? And I would say absolutely. Our students have been excelling in ways that I never thought they would. And also it helps our students cope with what the demand is, because as you've known, especially living in Iraq, one year the demand could be for all these dentistry people, and then the next year the demand changes. However, our students are able to adapt with that demand because of their skills. We've had students that had to hold off with it and do other jobs, but they were only selected because of their English ability and their critical thinking skills ability. The employers knew the quality that they were getting from those students, and they were able to build their lives. So I think our students always have that wonderful upper hand of knowing that all of their academics, whether it's in APP or even in UG, really has equipped them on how to cope with economical changes. If they have to leave and do something different, they know how to do it, and they tend to be successful in it.
Thank you, and we'll take one last question. Thank you to the audience, by the way, for all the questions and for the engagement. We are excited to see the interest, and we're more than glad to provide these answers live. So the last question again, Ms. Dim, I'll direct this to you. The question is that whether GPA and attendance are key factors to student success, or are they only one way on getting into the program? So I think the questions, let's do two parts. First of all, what do students need to do? Who can get into the APP program? What would be the entry requirement? And then what are the success factors for students in the APP program?
Right, that's a good question. So the first thing is, when students graduate and they start applying for their admissions process here at AUIS, they obviously need to demonstrate their baccalaureate scores, which obviously determines what they can study beyond APP. But as for APP, we don't really have to worry about the bac score as much, because everybody's going to be doing English. That is not a concern at that point. And then ensuring to take the placement test. And we're very proud of that test, because it has been tested over and over again, and we're able to, it's got a success rate, and it's tailored for our location. So it's unlike the IELTS or the TOEFL, which is an international placement test, which can be really hard. Ours is actually tailored for our student. It's based on our population. Once students get placed into that, they start coming to APP classes, as we said before, 10 weeks, 5 days a week, 5 hours per day, and attendance is key. We always say this because the program is so intense and it requires so much attention and participation. A student who comes to class every day is always successful. So we really, really push for an attendance. I think it is a good habit. It's a great study habit for students as well to take classes and realize that in order to succeed, I actually need to come to classes. So that's quite successful. Ms. Asta, if you could just repeat the second part of the question.
We talked about entry requirements and then the success factors in the program, which I think you touched upon both factors, right?
Yes, yes. And of course, our pass is that students need a particular grade to pass, and that's a 70 for both courses to pass to progress. And it might sound it's incredibly high, oh my goodness, but once you get into the APP program, you'd realize that your teachers and the way that the curriculum is structured is meant to support students at every single learning outcome. So students are never left behind. In addition to that, we have really good resources and support centers for students, such as our tutoring program, if they need additional skills, and the teachers can keep tabs on that as well. And we have office hours, which is something always new for students. They don't quite understand it. And office hours it's a time that a faculty schedules throughout the week to meet students if they have a concern or a need or need to review information. So there's continuous support for them in order to reach that standard in our program.
Thank you. Thank you all for your answers and for the questions from the audience. Just the final information as we have to round this up. There were many questions about the dentistry program. So as you'll see on the schedule, on Sunday, April 28th at 4:30, we have the webinar about our College of Dentistry. And you'll see all the other webinars that are still upcoming. So keep joining us at 4:30 on all the working days, and you will have the full scale of information about all the academic possibilities within AUS. So I thank our audience here on Zoom and on Facebook for being with us today. And of course, I want to thank our panelists. Thank you to our faculty members, to Ms. Zim, the APP Program Director, for presenting the program and what it is all about. Thank you to Alla, huge thanks for sharing your story. It's amazing. You should be extremely proud of yourself. So all the best to you and your students as you teach them English. And Razan and Riyam, embrace your studies at AUIS. We look forward to hearing your success stories in 4 or 5 years. So thank you everyone for this afternoon, for this webinar. Enjoy your evening, and to our audience, we'll see you on Sunday at 4:30. Bye-bye.